Welcome back, close friends, to another episode of More Context, the podcast. This here is episode 15, which happens to be, and today happens to be Friday, January 15th, which is the Founders Day for my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So if you are a soror, happy Founders Day to you, soror. And thank you for listening. First of all, I'm gonna jump right into it because that's just what I do. Starting with my pregnancy updates, and anything pertaining to what I've been experiencing so far, or anything that I've noticed, etc., etc. I'm not sure what week I told you I was last week. I'm starting to realize that it's kind of hard keeping up with these weeks. Monday, I felt like, so my weeks change on Monday. And Monday, for some reason, I thought I was like 21 weeks. Girl, I'm not. I'm like 19 weeks. Either way, I'm 5 months. I'm pretty sure I'm 19 weeks. I will be 20 weeks this upcoming Monday. But as of today, Friday, I am 19 weeks. I went to my doctor's appointment on Monday. And I got a full ultrasound done, like the big ultrasound. This is the appointment where women typically find out what sex they're having based on the ultrasound, but I already knew. But this time I did actually get to see like his penis or whatever, so it is double confirmed that I am having a boy. But let me tell you how this man showed out in his ultrasound. So he already moves a lot just in general, and even though he's really small, I am at a point where I can tell the difference now between him and gas, because before it was a little hard to tell the difference, but now I can definitely tell the difference between him moving or if it's just gas bubbles. So, and that just feels like faint, kind of like flutters. I feel like I can feel him like flipping or like tumbling, and that just feels like little shit. I don't know what just happened right there, but hold on, let me take a little sip of my bubble tea. Got a little choked up there, didn't I? So, that just feels like little gas bubbles. Oh, I mean, it just feels like little flutters when I feel like he's tumbling, but sometimes, I feel like I can just feel him like moving in general or whatever. Can't really differentiate between like him kicking or like whatever, but I can definitely feel him moving. I'm not rushing me, and when I do feel him, I can feel him on the inside and not necessarily like, sometimes I can feel him on the outside if I like press my stomach hard enough, but not all the time. I'm definitely not rushing that though, because he's so active now that I just feel like he's probably going to be like a handful when he does, like as he grows and I can actually feel him moving. Like I feel like he's going to be moving all the time. But in the doctor's appointment on Monday, he would not stop moving. He just moved and moved and moved. And it's so funny because when I first saw him on my first ultrasound when I was 10 weeks, he was moving then, and he was like not big at all, and his shoulders were just going ham. And you could see that in a previous podcast when I had uploaded bonus clips on one of the previous YouTube videos. Also, speaking of which, I do like to upload both obviously the audio, as well as I've started, as of season 2, I've started uploading the visual to YouTube. And I apologize, YouTube, you did not get episode 14. Something happened in my footage. I think my footage got corrupted or something like that when I was like trying to transfer the video and all that stuff or whatever. So I apologize that YouTube missed out on episode 14, and that was actually the episode that I talked about my road trip to Montana and my experience and such. But YouTube didn't overly miss out, because I still have that vlog coming. It's just sometimes it be so hard to like revisit old footage, because I'll be like kind of over it. Like I don't like really posting super outdated content. And so like I'm trying to like force myself to get that footage together and just post it so I can be done with it, because as for now it's just lingering in the back of my head like this ponytail. So I again apologize to you, YouTube, if you were because I know you were expecting to see episode 14, but unfortunately that did not and will not happen because I just lost the video footage. If you want to get caught up, you're just gonna have to listen to the audio, and this video will be, you know, here for you to see. But anyway, even when I had went to my first ultrasound appointment when I was like 10 or 11 weeks, he was moving, and like it was like he was just moving his shoulders, but this time he was just like moving his whole body. He was like moving his shoulders, his arms, his leg, and it was really cool, and it was really fun to just be able to see him. I always joke like I wish I could have one of these ultrasound machines at home. Like I would just be looking in there like, what you got going on or whatever. But so yeah, I got to see his penis, I got to see his head, I got to see his spine, I got to see his heartbeat in his body. I got to see his hands, his feet, his torso essentially, and his profile or whatever. But he just kept moving or whatever. So the technician, I thought it was hilarious. The technician was like, she had me like stand up and like bend over and like do all these exercises, basically to try to get him to turn or to flip, so that she could try to get like different angles or whatever, right? So I do all that and then get back to lay back down on the table or whatever. And at this point, this nigga kind of like put his thumb in his mouth. Like, I mean, that's all well and good, but I'm chilling, like I'm not moving or whatever. And then he went to like put his hand up against his face, like, all right, are y'all done? Because this is enough. When I say I was weak, I'm like, yeah, I know who baby this is for sure. Like he's petty. He's definitely petty. So I don't know if it sounds weird or not, but I just feel like I see like certain personality traits already, and like I'm not mad, because I can't be mad at him for being shady. I can't be mad at him for being petty. I can't be mad at him for having a sense of humor, like for being active. All of those things I am like not mad at, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they translate like in the real world. Like if I am correct in thinking that he has the certain personality traits that I'm already like thinking that he has or whatever. But that leads me into, that leads me into my point of like where like the direction that I'm going in for this episode. So because it's the new year and we're still at the top of the new year, I see a lot of people, posting like quote unquote their word for the year. And that wasn't really my thing. Like I don't necessarily have a word for, or didn't necessarily have a word for the new year. Like I just like to live my life, and I like to, set intentions obviously. But I never thought of like a word for the year, and I wasn't going to look for one or like try to, it just wasn't a thing. Like whatever, it is what it is. However, one has come to me. And I feel like, again, this was not me looking for a word for 2021, but I have a word for 2021 that has come to me based on exterior experiences. And my word for 2021 is boundaries, intentional boundaries. And I'm definitely going to elaborate on that, but I got to start off by saying that, like, I definitely feel like we should all have boundaries when it comes to what brings us peace and what will help us remain peaceful. I'm not a person that is easily offended or has like these set boundaries or like takes things personally. But I realized that with me bringing a child into the world, my boundaries are looking a little different. And it isn't just about, like not being offended by things or, think something like that. But my boundaries more so look like, how can I protect myself and how can I protect my family, in addition to like making sure that I am always putting myself first, and I'm always moving with good intention, and like I'm not letting other people's like thoughts and opinions and advice get to me in a way that like emotionally moves me in an uncomfortable way, if that makes sense. And so a couple of things happened this week that I just feel like provoked me having to say, I gotta actually start setting some boundaries. So for starters, let me just say this real quick before I even go any further, because again, I realize like certain things as they go throughout the week. This is something that I've always known, and I guess it's a little different now because I am pregnant, and so it warrants more physical contact. I said this in episode 1, season 1, episode 1, when we were talking about, you know, just getting to know me. And I think one of the questions obviously was, what are your pet peeves? And obviously my top one is miscellaneous noise, as I have a heightened like noise sensitivity, but also physical touch. I don't like to be touched. I do not like to be touched. So I don't like, you know, when people laugh and like they falling all on you, or like just like random touching. I don't like to be touched. And so I feel like I have to say that again, because being pregnant warrants more unwelcomed physical touching. People just kind of invite themselves to your body, like they want to, you know, touch your belly and shit like that. And I'm not really sure what makes people think that that's okay. I've never been that type of person to reach out and touch somebody's belly when they are pregnant, unless they invite me to do so. But I can't even say I've ever actually felt the urge to like initiate that kind of contact with somebody. And so I don't really want anybody to do that to me, especially because right now I am so small that like I know I'm showing now or whatever, but it's like I still feel like I have a regular stomach. Like, yes, it protrudes a little bit, but to me it's like it doesn't even warrant real physical contact. And I know that sentiment won't change no matter how big I get or how small I remain. Like, I just don't want to be touched. I would appreciate if somebody asked first, like, oh, can I touch your belly or whatever? And more than likely I might respectfully decline, because it's like, for what? Like, it just feels like skin. Like, it just feels like, I don't know, like, what are you touching for? Like, I feel like I will only invite somebody to touch my belly if he was actually moving and I wanted you to feel that, like, oh shit, feel this, you know what I mean? But other than that, like, what are we feeling for? Like, what are you touching? Like, you don't believe that I'm pregnant? You got to see for yourself. You got to feel for yourself. Like, what's happening here? So number one boundary, I still don't like to be touched. And then, okay, so then on Monday at my doctor's appointment, after I see the ultrasound technician, I go into my next appointment and I'm talking to my midwife. And this is the same person that I've talked to the entire time of my pregnancy. This is a new practice that I've visited. I had an OBGYN and then I stopped going to her because my insurance changed. And I felt like she was just too expensive for my insurance. Like, she was good and I wasn't pregnant or nothing. I was just going for my pap smears anyway. So I felt like I felt comfortable enough to like shop around for somebody new or whatever. But and so like the OBGYN that I've been going to now is obviously new. And you know, I started going to them because the doctor or the midwife I found or whatever is Black or whatever. And sometimes that is like good, but then sometimes it's like not so great. Like, you know, not everybody is, I don't give a fuck what color they are. Not everybody is gonna have your best interest in heart without putting their emotional needs first. And I say that because, like, okay, I'm coming off this high of like being very excited after being in my appointment and seeing the baby move and stuff like that. And obviously I'm a first time mom or whatever, so we don't always know when's a good time to ask something or not ask something, or if that's supposed to happen in another appointment or whatever. So, and then my last appointment, I went and I didn't have any questions. So this time I definitely went in with like a few questions that I needed to ask, since I've started thinking about, you know, what my birthing plan for me looks like, etc., etc. So, you know, my thing was like, when I initially started going to her, I didn't overly like her that much. Like, she didn't make me feel all that comfortable, but I was like, whatever, like I've already started the process with her, like I might as well just continue on. And that's not something that is always a good thing. It's like, initially I didn't feel like I was settling, and now I definitely know that if I was to continue going to this practice, I would be settling for somebody that doesn't make me comfortable. And I say that because you know, so I go into my conversation with her this time around, and I actually have questions, and I'm like, yeah, so I'm like my questions are like, first of all, I start off by telling her what my birthing, that I've been thinking about my birthing plan and what that looks like for me, and I have questions based on that. And she was like, already? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't know when it's too late to not think about it. Like, of course already, or whatever, right? Like, I'm 5 months. Why would I not want to start thinking about that? Which is a good thing that I did bring that up, because now that let me know that, like, this is the perfect time to be thinking about it, because how I want to give birth, what that looks like for me, they don't do that at that practice. So either way, I would have to been looking for a different midwife or whatever, because I told her that I desire to, for so long as I am continuing to be healthy and my pregnancy is not complicated, I have desires of having an at-home birth, or giving birth in a birthing center. And so when I said that, like, and obviously we have our mask on or whatever, but when I said that, you could see the judgment in her eyes. Like, her eyes just got big, and I didn't really like the judgment, to be honest. And so so she was like, and so I asked her, you know what, I asked her something, and she told me the reasons why it's better to give birth in the hospital. And I'm like, cool. But she led with fear and with the negative reasons why people, you know, give birth at a hospital. And I understand all of that. But I don't feel like you should lead with that. Like, nothing should ever be led out of fear-based biasms. And so that, I already wasn't really fucking with that. I feel like you should be neutral. Like, I understand some people believe more in science than they do in, you know, Western medicine, or like just natural medicine, or just a natural process or whatever. So but then I proceeded to ask her the other questions that I had, which were what would cause a mother to have to give birth via cesarean section. And she was like, and one of her number one response was like, of course all of her responses were very textbook, and I understand that as well. She's a doctor or whatever. But she was like, you know, if a mother had already given birth via C-section, then more than likely she would have to give birth via C-section again. And, you know, I'm in my mind, I'm just like checking things off my list, like, and I say out loud, like, oh, well, I don't have to worry about that, since, you know, this is my child, since this is my first child. And she's like, she was like, I know, I'm just telling you all the reasons why a mother would have to have a C-section. I'm like, attitude much? But so from there, it was just kind of like the way she was answering my questions, because my other question was like, what would cause a woman to have to be induced as opposed to having her baby naturally, you know? So, and then of course it was like textbook responses or whatever. I just feel like, here's my thing. I feel like her bedside manner could have been a lot more compassionate and a lot more softer and warmer, especially because we are in times where we are all wearing masks and you can't pick up on, you know, facial expressions, how light someone is taking a subject, if they're smiling or whatever, how sarcastic they're being. And so you literally just have to read their eyes. And I'm a good energy reader in general, but I can see like what you feel in your eyes or whatever. And I'm like, I feel like in a profession like that, especially when you're dealing with pregnant women and their emotions, especially first-time mothers, I feel like you should have a little bit more compassion. Like your compassion should be elevated behind your mask, because we can't see the genuineness or the sincerity behind what you're saying. Because all I got from that was just textbook judgment, sarcasm, and I didn't appreciate any of that. I feel like the conversation was too serious for sarcasm, because I'm queen sarcasm all day. Like, sarcasm is what I motherfucking do, okay? But that was like the confirmation that I needed, that I definitely need to look more into you know, a more local midwife and birthing centers in my area, and like what I really want my birthing plan to look like. I've always trusted myself. I've always followed my intuition, and that has never steered me wrong yet. And I don't intend for it to steer me wrong. And I feel like for so long as I trust myself and I not let people like that try to scare me or perform scare tactics or project their own thoughts and feelings and concerns on me, then I will be fine, right? Because I'm already scared shitless to give birth. Like, I think about that a lot, like what it's like to give birth. Now, granted, I don't care to know other women's birthing stories, especially if it's something where like okay, I take that back. I do care to know other women's birthing stories, for so long as they say it in a space of neutrality and them just expressing their experiences. But for a woman to kind of tell me their birthing story in a form of like, this could happen to you, or this is gonna happen to you, or beware of this, I don't like stuff like that. When I was even talking about Monday, so clearly Monday came with a lot of boundary things that like just moved me in a weird way. Because also Monday, when I was expressing to Instagram, you know, how my appointment went and stuff like that, somebody was like, and I was talking about how like I was excited to see him and excited for him to come and stuff like that. Somebody was like, oh yeah, just wait until you get 3 hemorrhoids and I'm like, sis, that is you, not me. We don't know what I'm gonna get. Like, we don't know. Stop trying to ruin my excitement and my joy because you had like experiences that, you know, were not the happiest or whatever. Like, you're projecting hemorrhoids on me. Like, stop projecting. And then so it's like stuff like that where it's like, that's not okay. Like, it's not okay in general for somebody to be happy about something, anything, and then because your experience wasn't what you wanted to be, you start projecting that shit on somebody else. Like, that's not okay. Like, unpack that over there, not over here. So I like, you know, that got me like really thinking about just boundaries, both personally and on the internet. Because another thing that happened Monday was like, you know, I had gone to Trader Joe's and I had did like a little mini haul on the internet, and I was like, obviously I'm not gonna, like, I spent $129. We've all gone to Trader Joe's. If you haven't, like, you need to experience it for yourself. But I'm not gonna go into full detail about the things that I bought. If you want to, but I will share either my must-haves from when I do go, or something that I've been wanting to try, just to think, like, the few things that like matter or whatever, right? So one of the things that I shared was like this frozen brown rice or whatever, right? And it's like, out of all the things that I shared, somebody asked me how much was the brown rice. And I'm like, why? And I know that like that's very minuscule, but here's my thing. I'm sharing this with y'all because like these are things that I like. You can choose to like them too. You can choose to have your own thoughts and opinions about it, but you can't expect me to just know how much a grain is. Like, some things are just Googleable. And then, I mean, not even that. Rice, yo. Rice. If rice not in your budget, like, it's just like, it's boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I answer every question. Like, I feel like I'm always willing to give all kinds of information. But it's like certain things where it's like, why would you even go out your way to type that? Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you waste my time like that? And I think for some reason that just like really irritated me. And so I did not answer the question because like, what you want me to do? Go look at my receipt? I don't even know where the hell that receipt is. And even if I did, like, I just don't know if I'm gonna go out my way to see how much rice costs. Like, I just don't want to do that. I'm sorry. And I feel like I'm like one of the nicest niggas on the internet, but like, that's where I draw the line. I'm not going out my way to tell you how much rice is. You gonna have to like figure that out for yourself. And if you can't get it, just put it back. Get something else. But I don't know. It's like, I know that, you know, again, I'm learning to not just like go out my way or inconvenience myself to please somebody else. And I'm a person that like, I want everybody to like me. Like, I do. I want everybody to love me, but I also understand that I am not for everybody. And I'm okay with that as well. And so like, I always say like, I don't know if I'm being inconvenienced or like, I'm just super adaptable for no reason. But I don't mind going out my way to please people or to answer a question or to do a favor or whatever. Like, I legitimately don't mind that. But long gone are the days where like I'm going out my way to satisfy somebody else's needs. I don't necessarily think I want to keep doing that because the outcome is not always like, I don't do it to get something in return. But it's like, when I do it, I'm not always like, you know how you do something out of the kindness of your heart and you feel fulfilled and you're happy that you could do that for somebody. I don't always feel that feeling when I go out of my way to do something for somebody. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I could have just stayed my ass at home or something. Like, I don't know what it is. But, again, long gone are the days where, like, I am inconveniencing myself to make somebody else's life better when they really could have just did it themselves. I feel like I got enough to worry about now. And I got enough on my plate now to where... unless I see the real benefit in you asking me that, then, or unless I feel like I'm the only one that can give you that answer, or I'm the only one that could do that for you, then I'm gonna just start marinating more on like the things that's being asked of me, because normally I am somebody that'll low-key kind of jump right on it and be like, sure, no problem. When actually sometimes it really is a problem. Like, it do be a problem. But moving forward for my 2021, I'm definitely moving with the same intention that I move with every year. And that's just to live my life how I see fit. And, you know, intentionally, to continue making myself happy and then projecting that on, everybody else to see how my presence or my thoughts, my opinions, my whatever can also make other people happy. Because if we're not happy, then what are we even doing? And I know that I want to be happy, but I also want everybody to be happy. But I'm not going to go out my way or diminish my happiness to make somebody else happy or whatever. But I definitely think that now is a good time to talk about what my year looked like last year, and what I envisioned my year to happen, the intentions that I had set for myself, and the things that I wanted to achieve versus what actually became of it. Because last year was the first year I actually did do a vision board. And so I was definitely curious to see how that would manifest in real life. And I am looking at my vision board right now, but I do plan on doing a full overview of like what came to fruition from my vision board, how that came into fruition, and then like what kind of didn't. And the things that didn't were mostly because of the pandemic, so I can't even be mad at that. And if you don't, I also wrote a blog post. I actually don't write that often, but I really want to, because I am a pretty decent writer. But I wrote a blog post last year on how to create the best vision board for you, and I'm gonna link that description. I'm gonna link the blog post in the description of this podcast or whatever, so that if you are looking to do a vision board for 2021, what that kind of looks like. I definitely feel like vision boards are about intentions and direction, and not necessarily goal setting. I'm not a goal setter. I feel like setting goals can put you in a one-track mind and kind of like make you hyper focused and can cause a little bit of anxiety. And so I've never been one to set goals, because I don't like to live with like, or lead with disappointment, or like lead so structurally where I feel like oh, you know, if I don't accomplish this, then I've failed. But I do like to lead with some type of intention or vision, to know or to like have some type of idea where I would like for my year or my life or whatever to go or whatever. So some things that I had set for myself were like, I know one thing in particularly I had set up. I have a picture of a house in Cancun, and I have a picture of a house in Austin, Texas, and it's a reason behind those two. So I put Austin because I wanted to do, well, both of those things were put on my vision board because I actually wanted to host a group trip last year. You know, obviously we didn't know about the panorama or whatever, but I wanted to host like I wanted to host 2 girls trips. I wanted to host like one internationally, and I wanted to host one domestically. And it's so funny how that kind of manifests itself in its own way, because I did actually fly to Cancun's airport, and I did actually stay in an Airbnb, because I think that's where I got this picture from. However, I did not stay in Cancun. I actually went to Tulum in June, and I stayed in an Airbnb, obviously. So that kind of manifested itself. And obviously I just went by myself because we in a panorama. I couldn't do a girls trip, because I wanted to do like a whole off girl, not just like me and my homegirls, but like I wanted to get together like-minded people from like the internet that I've met only virtually, or like a couple of people that I met you know, or like one time or whatever, that I just felt like were all vibe or whatever. Because I know it'd be hard like meeting women, like female friends, just like in general, but you know, I be wanting to like make that exchange happen. And then Austin was like just a random city that I chose that would be cool for like a domestic kind of girls trip. It's like a lot of culture and a lot of things to do in Austin. And what's funny about that is, while I did not go to Austin this year, I was legitimately in the middle of like looking at flights for Austin and looking at Airbnbs or like hotels in Austin when my friend asked me to go to Montana. So she was like, do you have anything planned or whatever? And I was like, no, I just was really desperate to go somewhere, and I was about to just go to Austin or whatever. And so and I've been to Austin before or whatever, and so instead of going to Austin, I had actually went to Montana. So that manifested itself in a different way. Something else that I had on my vision board was like some type of like clothing with my name on it or whatever. And that manifested itself into No Context, the collection that I had put out starting in March. And I actually put the collection out in June, but the idea came to me in March, and that was because of the panorama. And so had the panorama not happened, that probably would not have unfolded the way it did, because I was actually supposed to do that group solo trip to Amsterdam, and honestly that trip was actually making me really anxious. And so I'm glad that the panorama happened the way it did, because I was forced to cancel that. And while I lost a little bit of money having to cancel that trip, I made it back by doing the collection, which, by the way, I think I have everything I need now to initiate a date for the second collection, the Aquarius season collection. I'm just trying to solidify what date that would be, so that when I do put it all out, I can also have everything ready to go when it's released and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that date for sure. If you are not already registered for the newsletter, please be sure to register for the newsletter, because more than likely they'll hear it first. But that is set to go in the next few weeks or whatever. So another thing that was on my vision board was a sunset and a sunrise, because I told myself I wanted to see more sunsets and more sunrises, particularly more sunrises, because that would encourage me to continue waking up early with intention. And I have been up until the point when I got pregnant, and I was like, listen, sleep is sleep, and I'm gonna wake up when I feel like it. But I would like to get myself back onto that morning routine or whatever. And so, I do feel like there is benefit in creating a vision board. I am definitely going to create another vision board this week. If you don't have a vision board or don't believe in vision, actually, if you do vision boards and you I want to encourage you not to share your vision board with anybody, because it's getting so dark and my light died, and I don't really want to. I hate pausing my stuff in between, because it's like when you come back to it, like if I pause to turn the light on and I come back to it, I feel like I'm gonna fuck up the flow, and it's gonna feel like I need to edit it. And I don't really like editing my podcast. I just like talking, and then I don't like cutting stuff out. So I apologize for it getting dark. I've had a long day, and I've really been trying to just sit down and do this really quickly. Well, not really quickly, but I like to get my podcast out by a certain time on Friday. If you have not noticed, I have been pretty consistent with the days that I've been putting out my podcast, which typically now I like to put out the podcast Friday by 5. And so I have been out all day. I had to return my punk ass rental car that I had from when I had gotten a fender bender. And I had went to Virginia and all this stuff. I had a meeting first thing in the morning. So I'm actually really tired. So I apologize again if you're watching this and it's getting dark or whatever. I tried to turn on my salt lamp to help, but I doubt that. I mean, it did something, but like I said, my lighting died on me. My device that I'm recording on now was low battery, and I had to charge that for a few minutes to at least get it halfway to do this. So just bear with me. Everything is a process. Of course, I was super irritated that I couldn't get the video out for YouTube last week, but it just is what it is. You can't beat yourself up about shit. Life is gonna happen how it wants to happen, whether you like it the fuck or not, okay? So one thing I do want to mention, though, as somebody who vows to not take advice from anybody, as somebody who vows to particularly not take prenatal advice from anybody, I do want to say that I was gifted this book called Birthing from Within, An Extraordinary Guide to Childbirth Preparation by Pam England and Rob Horowitz. This is a really, 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 really good book. I've only read the first chapter so far, and it's like a few sections. I think it was like six sections in the book, in like the first chapter. So just from me reading the first chapter, like I was like, yo, this book is fire. And Sarah, the girl who sent it to me, is a follower. It's someone who follows me. I hate calling people followers. It's someone who followed me on Instagram that I didn't even follow back. I do now, but I didn't even follow her back. And I'm just like, for me, I feel like for somebody to know me on that kind of level enough to know that this is something that I would thoroughly appreciate. Like, I really be fucking with shit like that. Cause you know, people be like, oh, I'm gonna send you, and you be like, why would you send me this? Like, nothing about this resonates with me. Only everything about this resonates with me. And so like, if you are pregnant now, or if you are, you know, looking to be pregnant in the future, I would highly recommend this book, no matter what your take on like giving birth, what that looks like for you. If you are gung-ho about, you know, having your birth in a hospital, and you believe in epidurals and whatever you believe in, like if you believe in natural birth and whatever, like I definitely feel like this is a good book. Like this is a really good book, especially for first-time moms. Like I can't speak for, you know, women who already have children, because I don't know how comfortable you are with pregnancy. But as a first-time mom, I super duper appreciate this book. And she got like 3 kids. So I think she got 3 kids. But either way, again, I really appreciate y'all for pulling up on me. I really appreciate y'all for tuning in. I definitely would encourage you to set your intentions for 2021 without necessarily overly focusing on your own goals. I mean, if you are a goal setting person, do you. Like, who the fuck am I to tell you not to set no goals for yourself? The fuck? But I want you to focus more on the intention behind the goals that you are setting. Because if you don't accomplish that goal, then what? You just gonna be mad? No. So like, focus more on the intention, at least behind your goal, and lead with that being the motivation that you need to fulfill whatever journey you want to take on or whatever. I'm definitely going to sit down and really think about what I want my year to look like as best as possible, because obviously we cannot control, you know, how our years are going to turn out. And if we learn anything from the panorama, then that is one lesson that you should get from that shit is you cannot control life. Like, you literally cannot control life. No matter how many ducks you think you got in your row, somebody is going to something is going to come around and smack the shit out of them ducks. And now your ducks is all out of whack and shit. So as long as you lead with good intention, like, your ducks will realign the way that they're supposed to. It may not be the row that you were looking to have. It may not be one straight line. It may be like a little swirl or 2 lines. Cause who said you can't have 2 lines? But yeah, as long as you're like, you know, leading with good intention, your year and such will pan out exactly how it's supposed to pan out for you. And with that being said, I appreciate y'all so much. Please don't forget to rate. Definitely don't forget to subscribe, both on whatever podcasting platform you listen to, whether it's Spotify or Apple. Hit the subscribe button. If you are watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. That would be like Gucci. That's actually, I have like some vanity metrics in mind that I would like to accomplish on YouTube. Numbers really don't matter, but there are things that I would like to accomplish on YouTube that would be like kind of cool to see me hit that target. And they're like, you know, I got a few vanity metric based quote unquote goals or targets that I would like to hit throughout the year, and one of them has to do with a lot of the vanity metrics behind YouTube. So definitely subscribe. Hit the like button if you liked it. If you didn't like it, then don't do nothing. Like, don't dislike it. Don't hit the thumbs down. Just, go on about your business. I definitely like to read comments. So if you related to anything that I had to say, definitely be sure to drop a comment in the comment section. My podcast listeners, please be sure to rate and review in Apple Podcasts and whatever other podcast listening platform that allows someone to review. I don't know if Google does or not, but I'm available on Google as well. But anywhere that you can rate and review and you fuck with this, go ahead and give it a little positive, 5-star, make me a 5-star bitch. Or, and definitely drop some kind words. I love hearing it. Like, I appreciate y'all reaching out to me via Instagram and telling me what you thought of the podcast for sure. Or even texting me and letting me know that what you thought about whatever episode. Like, I of course I appreciate that. But if you love it, it means even more to me to drop those kind words somewhere publicly so that, people can get a feel for it, and people who not really sure if they want to pull up on it can get a feel for whether they want to pull up on it or not. Anyway, that's all I got for you for now. I holla.